With more than 100 years of experience between the four of them, covering Minnesota high school athletics, the Minnesota Sun newspaper's sports editors bring you Sun on Sports.
And we're back with Sun on Sports again, joined by my colleagues John Sherman, Greg Kleven, and Nick Clark. I'm Mike Shaughnessy. John, this week in the Northwest Suburban Conference, we have a rivalry game between a couple of schools that, at least physically, we're pretty close to now, starting with Osseo and Maple Grove.
Well, Mike, as you know, we've moved our sports department to our Osseo location now. We're filming live from Osseo right now, and we're about 100 paces down from the Osseo Bakery to give you a fix on where we are. And I've been there several times already. Great rivalry game this week, Maple Grove and Osseo. Maple Grove has been playing some great football this year. Osseo is coached by Darren Lamker, who's one of the best young coaches in the state. Nick, you cover those Osseo Orioles, and you're well acquainted with Maple Grove as well. How does this one shape up?
Well, this is one of those games, typically, we've talked about some rivalries in the show already. This is one of those in that category where usually records don't mean much. Over the years, it's been a pretty even series. Osseo's had the better of it the last couple of years, mainly because they've had the strength of the quarterback position with Tate Christopherson, who's now playing defensive back at St. Cloud State University. This year, the quarterback edge might have to shift to Maple Grove. They're breaking into sophomore Brady Jacobs. But he's been awfully impressive through 4 games. They had a gut-wrenching loss week 2 at Champlin Park, where Champlin Park came back. They were down 17 in the fourth quarter, came back to win. But it was no fault of what Jacobs did that night. He threw 4 touchdown passes. He's got a fantastic target in 6'4" tight end Jared Harrell, who has been on the receiving end of just about everything he throws. He just goes up and gets everything. And the kid's got Jacobs is a lefty, but he's got a nice arm on him. And Craig Hansen, their head coach at Maple Grove, is kind of breaking out of his shell a little bit. He's old school, likes to run the veer, left, right, straight ahead, whatever, ball staying on the ground. He's actually got it up in the air more this year. They're probably going to have an advantage. Maple Grove, outside of the quarterback position and one of their running backs, who was also a sophomore, they have a lot of seniors that were juniors last year, played a lot. It was a tough year last year, but they got a lot of experience. Osseo, on the other hand, doesn't have a whole lot of experience. They're young just about everywhere. Defensively, it's shown, as is always the case, Darren Lamker's teams can score pretty much at will. I mean, they've been to the 50s twice this year already. Not to say they're going to do that against Maple Grove, but they've had chances to score on just about every drive. And if Osseo finishes, this one could be interesting. They put in turf fields on all the District 279 schools this year. So this is the first time this game will be played on a field that's not grass, which could make it more interesting. You get some of these athletes out running around on that turf field and see what happens. It's at Maple Grove. It's going to be a huge crowd. It's going to be a busy Friday night out there. It'll be fun for those who can make it that night. But like I said, it's home. I guess the edge goes to Maple Grove with that case.
Another big game, Northwest Suburban on October 2nd. It's going to be Andover visiting Champlin Park. Nick, we've seen some awfully good things from Champlin Park already. They're one of the premier programs in the state, one of the premier teams in the state this year as well. Brandon Marquardt, we're well acquainted with his role on that team. How does this one look? Does Andover have any shot?
Yeah, I think they do. Andover might be the surprise team of the Northwest Suburban this year. This game could be for all the marbles. Both teams have been playing extremely well. They're both top 10 teams right now in the state rankings. Neither has lost yet, so it'll be interesting to see. Andover had a huge win over Centennial in week 3, survival type win to remain undefeated. And Champlin, since their come from behind win over Maple Grove, has continued to get tested. They had a 1 touchdown win over Anoka, and that's a rivalry game. So one of those games where it doesn't seem to matter. You brought up Brandon Marquardt. There's some guys you can write in 1, 2 touchdowns a night. You know what you're going to get. So far this year, Marquardt's been about 4 a night. He's finishing every drive. He had a 99-yard kickoff return that sealed the win over Anoka in week 3. He's been a real big part of what Champlin does. Defense is getting better. Mike Horton's encouraged by the play of some of his guys. It was a unit that returned zip. All 11 starters this year were new to the defense, so they were. It's been a work in progress, I guess you could say, for a lack of a better way of putting it, to run into the cliche head first, I guess. But Champlin have its hands full. It's a game. Last year, it was a 1-touchdown game at Andover. The year before, Andover beat them in week 1 by 1 point. It was 7-6. So it's been a pretty even series the last couple of years, and we'll see. It's at Champlin, maybe give the edge of the Rebels just because of that, but nonetheless, Andover's going to give them everything they have.
Well, guys, thanks a lot. We'll be back with one more segment. We have a couple of other games we want to take a look at. Join us when we come back on the other side of this break.
Stay tuned for more Sun on Sports, your insider's guide to Minnesota high school athletics. For the scores and more, tune in daily to mnsun.com/sports. And tune in every Saturday morning to Sun on Sports on AM 950, the voice of Minnesota.